I voiced this before on this channel, but one of my convictions is that Elon Musk's destruction of USAID as part of the Department of Government Efficiency was a world historical crime. It was a crime. It's already estimated to have resulted in the deaths of hundreds of thousands of children, and according to more recent estimates, researchers believe that up to 4.5 million children will be dead who otherwise would have been alive because of Elon Musk's destruction of USAID, a world historical crime. Recently, Representative Ro Khanna of California went after Musk on this, repeating that statistic about potential deaths, and Elon Musk had a fit about it, got very upset. And he's been talking about his destruction of USAID in a way that he hasn't before. He recently spoke about it, insisting that USAID was a harmful and destructive program, insisting that there was no evidence whatsoever that there were any children being helped. Here's some of that discussion from Musk.
What we found with USAID cuts, and by the way, they haven't all been cut. The parts of USAID that we found to be even slightly useful were transferred to the State Department. So they've not been deleted, they've simply been transferred to the State Department. But many times over with USAID and other organizations, when they've said, oh, well, this is going to help, children, or it's going to help some disease eradication or something like that. And then when we ask for any evidence whatsoever, I say, well, please connect us with this group of children so we can talk to them and understand more about their issue. We get nothing. They don't even try to come up with a show orphan, meaning like this sort of like, well, can we at least see a few kids? Like, where are they? If they're in trouble, we'd like to talk to them and talk to their caregivers. Okay, well, and then we get nothing as a response, because it's what we find is an enormous amount of fraud and graft.
I've recently been reading this book, Muskism, by Quinn Slobodian and Ben Tarnoff, about Elon Musk and about Elon Musk's underlying ideology, the thing he's trying to create in the world. Part of the thesis of the book is that Elon Musk is like Henry Ford, and Henry Ford's ideas did produce a system, Fordism, a way of organizing industrial society. And in the same way, they argue that Musk has a set of ideas that you can describe as Muskism. And the book is a very, I think, intelligent examination of that, going all the way back to Musk's childhood in apartheid South Africa. One of the persistent things you see in Musk, in addition to his rigidly hierarchical view of human society, he does believe in hierarchies of race and gender and class. He believes they're inviolable. Again, this was a guy who grew up in apartheid South Africa in a family that moved to South Africa because of apartheid. They were pro-apartheid, right? Musk also has this thing, and anyone who's followed him for a while knows this, where he just does not view large swaths of humanity as like actually existing. He believes that they're fake people, NPCs, not real in any sense. And he believes this in a literal way, right? Like at Twitter, when he took over, he thought that there were fake employees. Doge thought that the US was being defrauded by fake recipients of Social Security that they were going to root out. They found instead that Social Security is the single most efficient program the government administers and has a lower rate of fraud than basically not only any program the US government administers, but like any program any government administers around the world. And here with USAID, you see how he thinks that because no one could bring him a show orphan, right? No one could bring him the kind of proof that he thinks is real, that the children being helped must be fake. And that's on top of what's very clear his view, which is that children in Africa, in Southeast Asia, in South Asia, that they aren't real, that they don't count if they are real. And so for Musk, deleting USAID, destroying that aid, is perfectly okay because you're not doing anything to anyone real. But that's obvious nonsense. And I think what you see in that interview is someone who knows it's nonsense, who is trying to justify an awful decision that they made and is having trouble coming up with a justification. It's striking to see, and I would call it evidence that the tide is turning somewhat, that the people who have been responsible for all this destruction know that they might have to face a public reckoning, are now looking for ways to justify themselves. But there's no justification for the destruction of USAID. Yes, you can say, oh, it was a tool of American imperialism. Sure, it was. But it also saved a lot of lives. also improved lives for a lot of people, also saved a lot of children. And was there space to reform it? To maybe unplug it somewhat from America's more base national interest? I think so. But destroying it outright and leaving hundreds of thousands of people to starve and suffer, and producing a whole lot of needless death, that's unacceptable. I don't think you can support that or justify that. And I think that Elon Musk might be coming to the realization that when people think about his legacy, they're not going to be thinking about Tesla or SpaceX. They're going to be thinking about the guy who willfully killed a lot of people for no reason and did so with a smile.